everyone, the crazy Aqua Alex here, and today I'm doing another top 10 countdown, and today I'm counting down the top 10 things to know about Oscar cichlids. So whether you are considering getting your first Oscar, or your 100th Oscar, or your 10th Oscar, here are the things to know about the wonderful and lovely Oscar cichlids. And I'm hoping that GIZMO, my Oscar, my Tiger Oscar, or Fred, my wild-caught Tiger Oscar, will make an appearance in today's video. So let's see if you can see him briefly. There he is. That is my Tiger Oscar GIZMO. Sorry about, you might be a little blurry, but there is my Tiger Oscar GIZMO swimming by. And I'll upload a video of my Oscar at the end of the video. Alright, so let's get started with our top 10 things to know about getting an Oscar. For you, the fish keepers who want to purchase an Oscar in the future, or another Oscar, here are some things to know about Oscars. Alright, the 10th thing to know, coming at number 10, Oscars get big. They get to be about 12 to 16 inches in a home aquarium. They eat a lot, which means they produce a lot of waste. Alright, so you're going to need a big tank. Now, I have 2 Oscars in a 75-gallon fish tank, which some experts say is not enough. Well, for about 5 to 6 months, maybe a year, 2 Oscars in a 75-gallon would be okay. But it really is advised that you have at least 2 Oscars in a 125-gallon fish tank. So I'm going to be upgrading these Oscars to a 125 in the future. Alright? Now you also need big filtration systems. You have to overfilter your tanks when you have Oscars because they will produce a lot of waste. Alright? So the first fact I want to share with you, which is the 10th fact, is they get very big. Alright, our 9th fact for today. Oscars will eat anything. Yes, it is true, Oscars will eat anything. Flakes, pellets, bloodworms, shrimp, krill, and live fish. Oscars will eat anything that will fit in their mouth. So you must avoid keeping smaller fish with your Oscars. Otherwise, it'll be food. It'll be lunch. So avoid keeping anything small enough to be eaten with your Oscars. Now, I do not recommend that you feed your Oscar live feeder comet goldfish. Why? Because comet goldfish have nothing as far as nutritional value is concerned. All feeder comet goldfish has is fat. So it'll be like you eating a whole stick of butter, basically, as a human comparison as you're feeding an Oscar goldfish. So you're basically feeding yourself butter if you were an Oscar. So don't feed feeder comet goldfish. I feed my Oscars rosy reds, which are very similar but a lot different and more better for your fish. Plus comet goldfish have the chance to give your Oscar a disease because they're adding comet goldfish to tropical waters. So don't feed your Oscars feeder fish. You can feed rosy reds or guppies if you had to feed live fish. Crayfish are a great food for Oscars. Crayfish are great feeding for any fish, by the way. My GIZMO had a great crayfish dinner the other day. He had crayfish scampi. Alright, number 8. Oscars can get hole in the head. Oscars are one of those cichlids that can get hole in the head. And hole in the head can be a fatal disease. You need to watch hole in the head very closely. Now, hole in the head can be caused by multiple things, including lack of a proper diet, poor water conditions, and things like that. So when you have an Oscar, you want to make sure your water is pristine. You're going to have to do lots of water changes with Oscars to make sure the water is accurate and the way it should be. So keep that in mind. Alright? Now, all of the large Oscars you see at the fish store, a majority of them have hole in the head. And I won't buy an Oscar that has hole in the head. And a majority of Oscars that have hole in the head are caused by proper or improper diets. Feeders cause a lot of hole in the head. So Oscars will get hole in the head if you don't provide them a proper diet. Now, a proper diet would be pellets, flakes, krill, anything that will boost their coloration, such as market shrimp. So basically a meaty diet with a little bit of vegetables thrown in there should be good. So it's easy to feed an Oscar a good diet. Just don't feed feeders and feed them a lot of healthy foods, like Kokori has great foods for Oscars. Number 7, Oscars are very hardy. Now, that is true to an extent. Oscars are hardy. Just because they're hardy does not mean you should be living in proper conditions. You don't want to stick an Oscar in a 20-gallon long or a 30-gallon. You want to give them a proper-sized aquarium. For starters, I would say a 55-gallon would be okay for a little while. A 75-gallon would be great for one. You can house a single Oscar in a 75-gallon for a long time, probably for life, a single Oscar in a 75-gallon tank. Now, tank size alone, that's not enough. Hardy means they will survive a lot of things, but it's your responsibility to make sure they're happy. So you want to make sure their water is perfect. pH is what it should be, which should be around 7.0, 7.2. Ammonia definitely at 0, and the water conditions is fine. Water conditions is fine for Oscars. So make sure you do research on the water conditions for Oscars. Number 6, Oscars are available everywhere. Yes, it is true. Petco, PetSmart, Walmart, Pet Supplies Plus, and your fish stores should have Oscars for you. Oscars should not be hard to find. The common tank race Oscars are everywhere. Now, the only Oscars that you're going to have a hard time finding are the wild caught Oscars or the bumblebee Oscars, or a variation of the wild caught Oscars. But you can get those from my good buddy Jeff Rapps from Tangled Up in CICHLIDS. TangledUpInCICHLIDS.com has all of your wild caught Oscars. So Oscars are popular. They're everywhere. Alright, our 5th fact for today. Oscars come in wide varieties. It is very true. You can get a tiger Oscar, you can get an albino tiger Oscar, you can get a red Oscar, you can get a common Oscar, you can get a wild type Oscar, or you can even get a wild Oscar. Or you could even get a long-finned Oscar or a short-finned Oscar. So there are many varieties of Oscars you can get out there in the planet. Now, a wild type Oscar. I know someone's going to ask me in the comments, what is a wild type Oscar? Well, a wild type Oscar is a tank raised Oscar that is raised to look like a wild Oscar. It has the same wild patterns as a true wild Oscar, so it's very hard to tell a wild caught Oscar from a wild type Oscar. So you have to make sure that you're buying wild Oscars from a trusted vendor. Number 4, large Oscars have personalities, and Gizmo can agree with that. Gizmo has an awesome personality. He recognizes me. Every morning I come down here, he's swimming around looking for food. So large Oscars do have plenty of personality. Number 3, which is kind of a sad fact, large Oscars are very hard to rehome. Now you shouldn't have to rehome your Oscar, but maybe if you get tired of him or bored with him, which I hope you will never do because Oscars are fun, but large Oscars are kind of hard to rehome. That's why many of your fish stores will have a bunch of them sitting in their fish tanks, because no one wants to deal with a large Oscar unless you are really dedicated to them. So if you have a large Oscar and you want to switch over to discus, or you want to switch over to community fish or another fish, they're going to be hard to rehome. So make sure you keep that in mind when you first get your first Oscar. I have plans to keep my Oscars for life, so I'm not going to be rehoming them anytime soon. I have plans to keep them for life. Number 2, Oscars come from the Amazon, most specifically South America. So you want to make sure you study the Amazon water parameters, the water conditions from South America, because you want to make sure your fish are comfortable in your fish tank. And number 1, the number 1 fact, or the number 1 countdown about Oscars, Oscars will recognize their owner. You see Gizmo saying hi throughout the video. He's saying hi to you guys. He's recognizing me doing a video on Oscars today. Alright? So that's the top 10 facts and things you should know about Oscars. Oscars get big. Oscars will eat anything. Oscars can get hole in the head. Oscars are hardy. Oscars are available elsewhere, everywhere. Oscars come in wide varieties. Large Oscars have personalities. Large Oscars are hard to rehome. Oscars come from the Amazon. And Oscars will recognize their owner. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's top 10 video. Rate, comment, and subscribe below what you think of today's top 10 video, and I hope you definitely enjoyed today's top 10 video. Our next top 10 video will be on the top 10 YouTube fish keeping channels. I'm out, everyone. Enjoy the Oscar video. Goodbye.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.